Hello, I'm Sarah Jane with Do Yoga With Me, and this yin practice aims to prepare your body for better sleep. You may want to have a couple of blankets and pillows along with you for this practice. If you would like a bolster, there will be a link below the practice so you can learn how to make your own. Enjoy. For this yin practice, we're going to begin in child's pose. So if you felt that you've had particular tightness in your hips, then you're going to begin with your big toes together and your knees very wide apart, and you're welcome to put a blanket underneath your knees if they're sensitive. If you're someone who's a bit more tender through your lower back and your back bothers you when you're trying to go to sleep, you're going to bring your knees closer together and work on the spine in particular. So choosing either or. And in yin, we make our way very gradually into the posture. So have a blanket or a pillow just underneath your elbows. Lean forward. You can support your head in your hands if you wish, so that the neck is supported. And just take a moment to get used to folding forward. So now you're dropping your head slightly below your heart. And the way that the blood flows in your body is shifting. And we will be here for 2 minutes, so you don't need to feel like you need to go all the way into the pose right away. Saying that, if you're feeling in your muscles and your tissues that your body wants to go a little bit deeper, you can extend your arms out and let your head rest down onto the blanket or the pillow. If you chose to keep your knees together, then you're just feeling your belly breathing against your thighs. And you're paying particular attention to feeling the front of the ribs expand and then the sides, and then you should feel the backs of the ribs expand where they attach onto the vertebra. So really consciously feeling that. There is no tension in your neck or your shoulders. And if you're feeling there is residual tension, then you're going to reach back and cup your heels with your hands and balance on top of your head, so there's no muscle energy whatsoever in the arms or the shoulders. Those of you that are working with the hips, you can press the heels back, press the bum back towards the heels, or you can place a chip foam block between your bottom and your heels so that you're not feeling too much pressure on the feet. And you work with pressing the tailbone as far back in space as you can get it. And then you let the chest come down onto the ground, arms overhead. And in this last minute of the pose, try to adopt a sense of enjoyment at just letting all of the major organ systems in the center of your body just kind of dangle and settle. When your body is upright and moving, everything is working harder. The heart, lungs, the muscles in the body. This is meant to be really passive. Just letting everything become a little bit less active. Letting the gentle stress of the weight of your body create gentle stress on the bones and the joints. For the last 5 breaths, if you want to go a little bit deeper, you can really drop the chest down towards the floor. Actively press your bottom back towards your heels and then release heavier into the posture. To exit this posture, take a really deep inhalation Exhale out through the open mouth, falling heavier. And then generate just enough activity in your arms that you can walk them back towards you. Bring your knees closer together if you had them separated. Swing your feet around to the right or the left and come to seated. You're going to bring your bottom forward and extend your knees straight out. And we do that because we've been putting a lot of pressure on the joints by sitting in that child's posture. So you're going to extend the knees out. You're welcome to pull the muscle away from your bottom so you can find your sitting bones, or sit on something elevated like a block or a pillow. And then you can also put a pillow or bolster underneath your knees. So if you do have a bolster, you're just positioning it like this. And then just let your hands walk forward, or get them to the point of gentle tension, and drop your head down below your heart again. So we're coming into staff pose, but a really passive version of it. Some people call it caterpillar. And all of these forward positions are very introspective, so the body can start to move more and more inward. Closing the eyes helps to bring a state of rest into your body. The less activity we have behind the eyes, the less activity we have going on in our brains. But if you're finding that letting the weight of your head drop puts any sort of stress on the frontal bone of your head or the base of your neck, then you can just come up slightly, rest your elbows on your thighs, and just hold your head in your fingertips. Yin is not meant to be unpleasant. Shouldn't feel any pain. You want to feel a gentle amount of stress on the joints, just because you know that that stretch is happening, but there shouldn't be anything sharp. You shouldn't be in a state of stress mentally when you're in this posture. If you're in the full expression of the pose, really have an awareness of the space between your shoulder blades. And when you breathe in, with the passivity of your shoulders, you should still feel an expansion at the back of the heart, an expansion at the back of the ribs and the sides of your thoracic and cervical spine. And the style of breath that we're using is less ujjayi, so you're not using a lot of deep warrior breath. You're just closing the lips, letting your tongue rest behind your bottom row of teeth, and just having an awareness of breath moving in and falling out. So not only is your body passive, so is your breath. For the last 30 seconds of the pose, if you know you can go a little bit deeper, you can remove the bolster if you have it. Begin to slightly straighten at the back of the knees and fold your body even further forward. If this causes any feelings of alarm, tension, sharp, or pain, you know you can just ease back. We never come out of a yin pose quickly. We want to always work with the breath, work with the body. Last 5 breaths, really releasing the shoulders, letting the arms be completely inactive, releasing the head, letting the neck become inactive, releasing the belly. And then taking one deep inhalation and a sighing exhalation. before coming out of the pose. So slowly start to lean your chest away from the tops of your thighs. And then begin to straighten the spine. And think about your version of slow, and then slow it down by half. So really, really easing out of the posture. Bring your shoulders back and down, and then very, very slowly bring the head on top of the shoulders. From here, you may wish to have a blanket as well as your bolster at the top of your mat or wherever you're practicing. You can roll the blanket so it's quite high. Take the bolster or take a pillow. You're going to swing your feet around behind you, coming into even more of a restful child's pose with a gentle twist. So your bum is coming back towards your heels. From here, you're going to lay your chest down onto your bolster or pillow and lay mostly the right side of your chest down, and then let your right ear and cheek come down. To make this more of a yin stretch, you can extend your left arm out. Just to add a little bit of length to the sides of the ribs so you feel like you can get a little bit more breath in. And in this pose, what you want to feel is that you've got a real heaviness in your tailbone, a heaviness in your chest. But every 2 or 3 breaths, you're going to try to twist your right ribs onto that bolster or pillow just a little bit more, so that you're giving a rotation to the spine. We're only staying here for 5 more breaths. So we're just taking all of the energy that might have been culminating in the spine today and twisting, wringing it out, leaving more space for breath so that your body can settle more easily into sleep. This is our last breath, so deep inhalation, a really deep and releasing exhalation. Let all the muscles and bones release. And then gently press into your arms to bring your forehead to center. Untwist the chest. If your legs need a break, you can bring your bottom away from your heels. Tap the toes or tap the feet. Extend one leg back. Extend the other leg back until you feel your knees have softened. And then come to the other side. So you're laying the left side of your chest down onto the bolster. Your bottom is descending back towards your heels. And both arms can be close to your body, or you can lengthen the arm over the head. And same thing on this side. Each inhalation you're taking, you're twisting the top part of your chest up slightly, but on the exhale you're really descending and letting go. Letting go of the hips, letting that bottom drop back. Feeling that sensation once more of the belly dipping below the floor on the inhale, passively moving back on the exhale. And it's at this point in a yin practice that you can start to quiet your thoughts even more. If your thoughts are about what your body's doing, then maybe reposition your body so your body stops talking to you. If the thoughts are about needing to be still for this long, just try to quiet those thoughts, push them to the back of your mind. And just enjoy the breath and the passivity and the rest. This is our last breath, so deep inhalation, a really deep and releasing exhalation. Let all the muscles and bones release. And then gently press into your arms to bring your forehead to center. Both hands on either side of the pillow or bolster, they're going to walk back towards you. And then lift your bottom away from your heels, swing your feet around to the right or the left again, and come back to sitting on your bottom. So you're going to bring your feet together, let your knees flop out to the side. If you have very tight hips, then you might wish to put a couple of pillows underneath your knees so that you feel supported, and you can also sit on something. So a chip foam block is fine, or any kind of blanket is also great. We're coming into the cobbler's pose, so releasing the hips is really good for anyone that has restless legs. So your feet are together, your heels are quite far away from your sitting bones initially. If you have lots of flexibility in your hips, then you can walk your heels back towards your sitting bones. Walk your bottom back so that you start to drop your chest forward. And initially you can just stay here holding on to the feet or interlacing your fingers around the feet. And you don't need to drop your head if you know that that's intense for your blood pressure or just for the neck and shoulders. But if you know you can go further, then you can drop your head down. We hold our heads up all day. They weigh a significant amount, so it's really great to let them go. If you're halfway between letting your head go and needing it to stay upright, you can always place your elbows on your shins and rest your forehead in tented fingers. Either way, just finding your ideal cobbler pose. So any pose where the knees are flopping open stretches the groin, stretches the adductor muscles. And the thought in Chinese medicine is that there are meridians here connecting to a lot of your organs. So you're not just benefiting your muscles and your joints and your bones when you do a yin practice, you're benefiting the organ systems in your body that are working just as hard throughout your day. So as you breathe in, just feel that you're trying to nourish those organs from top to bottom. So through your thoracic cavity down into the belly on the inhale, and then exhaling from the belly through the thoracic cavity on the exhale. You can stay completely passive and forward for the last minute, or you can walk your arms over to the side and just enjoy releasing your lower back. The key in this one is if you're walking your arms to the side, don't let your opposite sitting bone lift up. That just creates an imbalance in the body. So you want to feel both of your sitting bones are anchored down. It's just the flexibility of the spine that's moving to the side. Shoulders releasing away from ears. Throat is not constricted, face is released. And for those of you that went to one side, you're just going to inhale and bring your arms back through the midline, and then exhale as you settle into the opposite side. And now if you've walked your arms over to the side, bring them back to center again. 5 more breaths, just really turtling around your body. And it helps to just bring the awareness into your body. So when you breathe in and out. Next, try to focus on just bringing the air right down to the bottom of the belly and the lower spine. And breathe out. And then on your next breath, breathe into the front of your chest and the back of your ribs, really consciously feeling that area expand. And then finally, at the last part of the pose, the very top part of your chest and your clavicles, your collarbones, in between your shoulder blades. And then exhale out, really letting the body drop. And then as you're breathing in, very, very slowly walk your hands back towards you. No matter how far forward you went, you want to be very slow and deliberate in your movements. And then walk the spine up tall. Drop one ear to one shoulder. You can also place your hand on the top of the head to add a little bit of tension. And your opposite shoulder is really drawing down the back. Very slowly release your hand from your head and bring your head back on top of the shoulders. Breathe in. As you're breathing out, opposite ear goes to opposite shoulder. Hand can come to the top of the head. And we're here for about 10 breaths. And you're not worrying about what shape your body is making. You're thinking about the function of the postures, and that's to just release any tension in the muscle. Just let the ear drop to the shoulder. Opposite shoulder is tracking down the back. The arm is really inactive. On your next breath in, you're slowly releasing the hand from the head, bringing the head back up on top of the spine. Moving down towards the floor now. So you can come off of whatever you're sitting on. Lay your body down onto the ground. You can have a supportive pillow underneath your head if you need to. We're going to release the spine. So extend your arms back and behind your head. If you're someone who has a shoulder injury, you may wish to just grab opposite elbows. Otherwise, arms are stick straight over the head and you can clasp your arms together. Extend your legs out. With your legs straight, you're going to walk the legs all the way over to the right. And it's really important in this yin pose to keep both of your hips anchored down to the ground. So it's easy when you're swinging your legs over to the right to lift that opposite hip. You're going to stick it down onto the ground. And then let your arms or your elbows, whatever you're holding on to, also move over to the right, but keep the shoulder blades equally on the ground. You may wish to grab opposite wrists. And once you've found that shape with the body, that sort of rainbow shape, let the tension in the arms go. And for some, it's really difficult to feel the benefits of this. For some, they feel it right away. So just so you have an awareness of where you should be feeling the yoga in this pose, there's an area called the greater trochanter, which is on the outside of your left hip. So you should feel a stretch across the muscle fibers of the left hip. You should feel lengthening in your ribs. And you should feel a gentle rotation on the left shoulder blade as well. Try to let the energy of your legs go. You can stack your left foot on top of the right one if you like, for support. And then on your next breath out, you're going to imagine dropping the body right down into the earth. And not just onto the earth, but down and into the earth. Part of what happens when we can't sleep is the mind is very active. And it's always like the mind is jumping outside of the body. So instead, just picture from head to toe, dropping down into dark. A place where the mind is inactive, the body is at rest. And we'll stay here for one more minute. Checking in with your body every few breaths. If you notice that opposite hip is lifting, just sealing it down. Noticing if you could go a little bit further, so perhaps you very gently walk your legs a bit further over to the right. Bow the upper part of your body slightly more over to the right. Just feeling for any pulling that's unpleasant. And then yoking the breath with what your body's doing. So you've found all of this length in the body, so you're lengthening your inhales. Maybe to the count of 3 or 5, and then you're lengthening your exhale to the count of 3 or 5. And for this last breath, you may wish to point the balls of your feet more towards the floor. Reach your fingertips back a bit more, breathing in. Breathe out with the open mouth and let everything release down into the ground one last time on this side. And then moving part to whole, bring your arms back to center, bring your torso back to center. Uncross the legs or slowly start to walk the legs one at a time back to your midline. Bring the knees into a bend one at a time. You can drop the knees to the right and to the left if you want to release your spine in this way, or you can bring your knees into your chest, wrap your hands around your knees and around the back. So you're pulling space between the vertebrae of the spine. One more breath in. Always gently releasing the shoulders and the face on the breath out. And then extend the legs out and walk the legs all the way over to the left. Again, just taking care that you're not lifting your opposite hip off the floor. So just lay down the tailbone, lay down the hips, and then let the legs move. The legs are separate entities from the hips, so just let them move over. And then reaching the arms up and over the head and then bringing them to the left. So that you're starting to feel the right side of the ribs open, the right belly, the right top of the thigh. And you can also cross the right foot on top of the left ankle. And then find the sukha, so find the ease in the pose. And lying on your back with the back of the head pressing into a pillow, just notice if your eyes are still quite active behind your closed eyelids. And if they are, just soften the muscles. So just feel like you're letting the eyeballs drop back into the skull. Focus on letting the muscles of the jaw release, which helps release the top of the temples. And once more in this last part of the pose, you may wish to walk your legs just a little bit further over to the side. Walk your ribs a little bit further over to the side, just feeling for any sharpness, any pulling. Just moving very slowly if that's happening for you, back to a more easeful position. And paying attention to the toes. Let the toes release. Heels drop right down into the ground. Legs are inactive. Shoulders are inactive, the arms are over the head, but there's complete passivity in the shoulders. Draw your breath in and up, and then exhale all the way out. Slowly start to move your arms back to center. Very slowly uncross the ankles or move the feet back to the midline of your mat. Bring one knee into a bend with your foot on the floor, other knee into a bend, opposite foot on the floor. This time, tucking your tailbone under slightly and walking your knees wide, extending your arms out to the side, and then dropping the knees right and left. And you want to do that to the point that you feel if any tension has started to build up in the lower bones of the back or the top of your pelvis, that you're releasing them now. Reach your fingertips up to the ceiling. You're going to bend at your elbows to grab opposite elbows, and then let your knees drop to the left and let your elbows drop to the right. You should feel a nice stretch coming across the top of your spine, top of your shoulders. And then breathe in as your feet come back to planted, elbows come up through center, and breathe out as the knees drop to the opposite side. And if you still have a lot of energy in your body and you're not quite settled, then you're welcome to continue doing this a little bit faster. But if you are starting to wind down and you're feeling tired, then just let the weightlessness of your body happen. Bring your knees back up through center, bring your elbows up through center. Then take one hand onto the chest and one hand onto the belly. Let your knees drop together and let your feet walk apart. Close the eyes. And notice what your breath is doing. Oftentimes, when you have a restless mind, you'll notice that the chest rises up and down quite quickly. And you're doing more than 12 breaths a minute. You're going to try to slow that down. So that you maybe only feel about 5 breaths in the next minute. And you want to feel that your chest is rising, then your ribs expand, and then your belly expands. Your belly settles, your ribs settle, your chest settles. And gradually what you're working towards is focusing so much on your breath that you begin to still your mind. So just for a moment, call into your mind all of the things that have been occupying it. Feel free to watch them for a moment. And then just realize at this juncture, right before you go to sleep, there is nothing that you can do about any of those things. Right now in this moment. So instead, turn your focus inward towards allowing rest, knowing that all of those things will be there when you wake up. And you can become active and do them then. Stay here, continuing to rest, or you can move into full corpse pose or shavasana, extending your legs out. You can put some warm socks on or put a blanket around you. And now you can let your arms rest down by your sides. You're welcome to keep one hand on the belly or the chest. And moving into a bit of a mantra for your body and your mind. And it could be something as simple as release your body, saying that repeatedly, or I am going to let rest come. But affirmations in yoga are very key to reminding us of what we need. Now just allow your breath to increase but not become too big or full. We're trying to keep our energy very low. But just have an awareness of coming back into the room. Bring your knees into a bend with the feet on the floor. Roll onto your side. We'll just spend a gentle minute here going through the channels of the body to help bring rest. We call this Yoga Nidra. So just breathe into your toes, or have an awareness of your toes. Breathe out and have an awareness of your toes resting. Breathe into the bottom of your feet and your heels and your ankles. Have an awareness of your focus being there, and breathe out as you release any tension there. Let everything go limp and floppy. Breathe into your shins and your calves and your knees. Just have an awareness of your shins and your calves and your knees on both sides. Feel them becoming more heavy and passive. Have an awareness of the tops of your thighs, backs of your thighs, fronts and backs of your hips and your buttocks. And breathe out as you just feel all muscle just becoming completely released in those areas. Breathe in between your hips and your belly and your lower back. Breathe out as you let all muscular tension go there. Breathe into the front of your rib cage, sides and back of your rib cage, collarbones, shoulders. Breathe out as you let complete passivity come into that region. Breathe into an awareness of both of your shoulders, arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, and hands. And breathe out as they become completely passive and restful. Breathe in and have an awareness of the front of your throat, sides of your neck, back of your neck spine, back of your head. Breathe out as you completely rest. And then press into your hand that's on the floor. And with as little muscle energy as possible, bring yourself up to seated position. Letting your arms be restful down by your side with palms facing down. And just take 2 peace fingers of your right or left hand and just press them between the eyebrows. You can do a gentle massage of the third eye if you like. And finally, we just bring yin rest into the face. So letting your bottom row of teeth separate from your top row of teeth, release the jaw. Release the lips. Continue applying that pressure on the third eye, just letting all of your attention go inwards. Gentle face. And then seal your practice by bringing both thumbs into the third eye this evening, elbows in towards the body, breathing in. Breathe out, namaste, fold your body forward, thanking yourself for all of your action in the day, but just acknowledging it's a time for rest.